With the context on BBC News now, as we've said, Donald Trump has held his first meetings with Republicans in Washington since the Capitol Hill riots on January the 6th of 2021. This was the former president arriving on Capitol Hill weeks after his historic criminal conviction in his New York hush money trial. He has been meeting members of the House of Representatives, as well as senators and dozens of company bosses. Here he is speaking after those meetings.
So what's happening to our country is of great concern to the group of people standing alongside of me. And I just wanted to say that we have great unity. We have great common sense. A lot of very smart people in this room and a lot of people that love our country. They love our country beyond just about all else. And the only thing that maybe supersedes it is their family and maybe their faith in certain instances. And that's very nice. But they want this country to be great again, and we're going to make it great again.
Former President Trump there. Well, this is what the US House Speaker Mike Johnson had to say after meeting Donald Trump with fellow Republicans.
We believe that we're going to win back the White House and the Senate and grow the House majority. And when we do that, we will not waste a moment. We will be working on a very aggressive agenda to fix all the great problems facing this country right now. We talked a little bit about that today with President Trump. We talked about how to grow this House majority and how he will help in doing so, and then how we'll help him as well. And this is a unified effort by the party.
So let's talk about what we've learned from that appearance of Donald Trump there on Capitol Hill. And Kim Darroch, I'm interested first of all in the symbolism of this. I was looking at the numbers too. 2.5 years after that inciting that riot on the US Capitol, 2 weeks to the day since that jury found him guilty on 34 counts. And there he is back on Capitol Hill.
I think it's an extraordinary picture. And it's kind of also unprecedented. We've never had a president or a candidate running for the presidency, a former president, but kind of running for the presidency with 34 criminal convictions like this before. So it is amazing. And of course, you can't look at Trump in this vicinity of Washington without being reminded of what happened on the 6th of January. Incidentally, one of the things that I've read, Anthony will know better than me, was that he spent most of his meeting with Mike Johnson asking if the leader of the House of Representatives could find ways of helping him with his various criminal indictments and convictions, whether Johnson could somehow help with reversing the tide. So as always with Donald Trump, it's much more about him than it is about the country, it seems to me. But anyway, it's a very strange look to see him back at the scene of those appalling events on 6th of January.
Yeah, Anthony, let's put that to you then. Do we know what went on at this meeting? Because it was originally designed, wasn't it, to lay out what a next Trump presidency would look like. But is it your understanding that he spent a lot of that time just trying to make sure that those convictions quietly go away until after November?
Well, he's looking for help. I mean, he's gone to his friends in the Senate as well. And, you know, Ambassador Darroch is correct. It's not just the speaker. He's going to other people inside of Washington. I think it's also important to point out that the immunity case that was before the Supreme Court, their traditional cadence is to release their decisions in the first week of June. They haven't done that on this case. And so we're already heading into mid-June without a decision on the immunity case. And of course, that's going to affect the insurrection case that Ambassador Darroch is mentioning. I mean, here is Donald Trump with the chief witness of the prosecution is Mark Meadows, his former White House chief of staff, who was a part of that House and part of the Freedom Caucus. And so it's a very dangerous time for Mr. Trump. He knows that. Perhaps the New York case is less dangerous, but these other cases ahead of him, the documents case, the insurrection case, and the election fraud case in Georgia are harder cases for him. So he is looking for help. And I just want to make one quick point about Mike Johnson. He has already helped Donald Trump because he got that aid pass for the Ukraine. And I think he sent a message to Trump, if you want to deal with the Ukraine, you better deal with the Ukraine as an elected president or re-elected president. Don't let chaos descend upon Europe during an election year. And so he got a green light from Trump to get that passed a few months ago. I think it's important to understand how politically adept that is of Speaker Johnson.
Yeah, and Anthony, I asked him there about the imagery of all this, because I wonder what message this sends. You know, we're not even at the election. Twice impeached, 4 times indicted Mr. Trump. Welcome back on Capitol Hill, not by all, but by some. What image does that send, not only to voters there in the US, but to the rest of the world?
Listen, it's a cowardly image. These are profiles. You know, Jack Kennedy wrote a book in the 1950s called Profiles in Courage, which was about people in the House and the Senate that exhibited courage. This is a profile in cowardice. These people are afraid of him, and they're sitting there clapping for them. Many of those people clapping were running for their lives on January 6th. And of course, they've got Mr. Trump on tape fomenting that insurrection, which is why he is so worried about these cases coming. But he does have the Supreme Court majority. He put 3 of those justices on the court. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they render that immunity case and what that means for these cases coming up.
And Kim Darroch, was this a missed opportunity? Mr. Trump here had an opportunity, didn't he, to unite the party, to bring people together and say, look, this is what my campaign for presidency in November will look like. These are the key issues. This is what we will go to voters with. This is what we will sell to the United States. And actually, maybe, to your point, he spent more of it worrying about himself rather than the party or indeed the country.
I mean, one of the striking things, Ben, I've always thought about Donald Trump is his support is incredibly solid and unshakable behind him, no matter what happens. But he really isn't being very good at reaching across to the independents, to the uncommitted, even to those on the other side, on the Democratic side, who may be dissatisfied in some way with the way that the administration is handling things. He really doesn't. He never does it. People were telling me before he actually took office in 2016, once you see him take office, he will tack back to the center and he'll be a president for all Americans. Well, he really wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
He really wasn't. He never has tried that.
Yeah.
And I think what you saw on Capitol Hill today is just more of the same.
Stay with us. We'll talk some more about what we learned at that speech by the president in just a moment. Stay with us here on The Context on BBC News.